I'm not going to tell you a story. In so doing, I hope to paint some pictures in your mind. Let's start by having you picture that you are a 6-year-old Aboriginal child living in northern Saskatchewan. It's a lovely late August afternoon, sun shining, just as we've had the last few days. You've just been into the forest and some of the meadows with your mother to find some roots and pick some berries for supper. You're playing in the meadow near your home, and suddenly you spot 2 white men coming up the hill towards your home. They talk to your parents for a few minutes, and you realize your mother is crying. A few minutes later, they come to where you are and start talking to you about how you've grown and how that you're now of age that you can start to school. And they indicate that you're going to go with them and a number of your friends. You'll be traveling some distance to a new school in a new community. Your parents seem very upset. They argue with the strangers, but to no avail. Finally, you're given your coat, and you go with the strangers. The trip to the school is long and frightening. The other children, who vary from 6 to 15 years of age, also seem to be frightened and unhappy. The adults accompanying you are busy making arrangements and give little attention to you or the others except to give you directions and to tell you to stop crying. The trip seems to go on forever. First by wagon, later by boat, and finally by wagon again. When you finally arrive at the school days later, you see several white men's buildings, and in particular one large building with many rooms. Over the next few days, you were separated from your brothers, sisters, and friends, given a non-Aboriginal name and a number. Your clothes are replaced with white children's clothes, your hair is cut short, and you were told that you must not practice your spirituality, nor use your native language. You are to speak English, and English only. Anyone caught speaking their native language will be punished. Everything's changed. The food and surroundings are unfamiliar. The fence surrounding the property keeps the daring ones from running away. And those that disagree or are defiant are punished severely. You have no one to go to for a hug or be comforted. You long for your home and your parents, but they have no way of knowing where you are. Most nights, you hear the other children crying as you softly cry yourself to sleep. At Christmas time, some of the children may get a chance to visit their family, but the distance makes it difficult, if not impossible, for some of them. You may go home in the summer, but what a shock when you get there. You haven't been using your native language. Your parents don't speak English, and so you have trouble communicating. You've been away so long that everyone seems to be strangers. Your parents haven't had children around for such a long time. They really don't know how to relate to you. In dealing with their sadness and the pain that they have experienced, they may have turned to alcohol as a method of coping. For some of the children, from them you learn that they have not returned home since they first arrived at the school. They have spent most of their childhood at the school. Your childhood experiences in the school are totally different from what you would have experienced with your parents. Your relationships with adults are distant and formal, even with the kindest and most considerate teacher, because of the institutional environment and the large number of students. Being held and comforted when you're sad or hurt just doesn't happen. The expression by staff of emotions such as love, tenderness, and caring doesn't happen. and seldom is expressed between you and your friends because you haven't seen others doing it. So you have not learned how to express positive feelings. You have learned how to express negative feelings as you see and experience the discipline that is used to enforce the rules. Violence as a means to solve problems becomes a norm. Your self-esteem is extremely low, and that you're told repeatedly that you're a savage, that your language, your clothes, your long hair, your culture, and spiritual beliefs are all wrong, and you must learn the white man's ways to become a worthy person. As many as 42% of your classmates will not live to benefit from their education. The deaths are due to illness caused by white man's diseases such as TB, malnourishment, accidents, and unexplained happenings. Although the education you received is noticeably substandard, you and the other survivors have learned the white man's language, his religion, and some of his values and traditions. You have learned to deal with conflict using violence if necessary. At the same time, you are not allowed to develop and you're made to feel ashamed of your native language, your survival skills, your history, your spirituality, and your traditions. As a result of the institutional lifestyle, you failed to learn to trust, to love, to be close to someone, to be a responsive and productive member of a family. You've come to harbor a lot of anger, resentment, and mistrust. After a number of years attending the residential school, you become an adult who's no longer an Indian, but not a white man either. You have not learned how to be a parent, or even to relate to another person in a warm, trusting, and loving manner. As a parent, you will tend to inflict the same severe physical discipline on your own children, or, in compensation, become overly lax and disorganized in your parenting. As a result, the negative effects of the institutional type of learning will now be passed on to the next generation. After completing the residential school program, where do you go? Some of your classmates who were better able to cope with the program and experience academic success are able to choose another more education and become successful citizens in the white man's society. Although some of your classmates are able to get jobs in the white man's world, many will have difficulty achieving more than a subsistence level of existence. Some return to the home reserve, but have trouble fitting in due to all the missed learnings. In general, social problems and poverty seem to be the major issues in your future.